What's going on, everybody? This is the Athletes Plus podcast, aka A Plus podcast. I'm here with three of my close friends right now. Just for right now. I'm Mike Lyons. We're gonna give a little brief introduction, and you know, this is our inaugural episode, and I feel like this is something that we're trying to do for the culture, something just to get people talking, and you know. That's what we're about. So first, we're gonna start off with George, man. Let's give a little brief introduction. Let everybody know who you are.
Here we go. I'm George. I'm a Mitchell grad here in Colorado Springs. Graduated in 2008. Obviously played basketball there. Went on ahead and continued my education and played college basketball at the D2 level. Right now, I'm currently a high school coach at Doherty High School here in the Springs. This is my 8th year coaching, going on 9, and I'm also the 16U Pluto Prospects coach. So.
Dang, you sound like an interview too.
I mean, what am I supposed to do?
Go ahead, Greg. What's up, Greg?
Man, get off me, Mike.
Greg Collins.
Greg.
Played college basketball at the University of Rio Grande in Ohio. Currently coach Pluto Prospects 15 under local travel club ball team here in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Oh wow. Anything else?
That's it.
You're pretty lame.
All right.
I'm a ST, man. I'm a ST. Sean Tarver from Gary, Indiana. Moved out here about 6 years ago. Played college ball with my brethren, George Pollard over here, man. Played some college ball with him. Post college hoops, went out to start coaching in the community out here in the Springs for about 6 years or so now. Just trying to be a power in the community, man. During my summers and whatnot, we on that AAU circuit as well in the state, so just keeping it moving throughout the community.
Who you coach for?
Colorado Hoops Academy.
That's
Colorado Hoops Academy and Doherty High School.
Colorado Hoops Academy. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm Mike Lyons, man. I'm originally from Virginia, Newport News, Virginia, aka Bad News, Virginia. Came out here in 2008, man. I went to the United States Air Force Academy. Played 4 years there. Had some military time. Got a little bit of break in between there to play in the G League for a year, and now I'm just a washed up basketball coach, man. I'm a trainer, train some local kids here in the area, and coach for Pluto Prospects 14U. So now that everybody knows each other.
What is Athletes Plus, Mike? What is that?
What is Athletes Plus?
What is Athletes Plus? Why these dudes? Why everybody listening to us? Or why will they be listening to us?
I mean, so as of now, you know what I mean? There's a big movement, going on with being more than an athlete. The whole LeBron movement, uninterrupted, things like that, the Players Tribune. And so, we just kind of want to give our take on it and be like the local voice for that, and I feel like, we got a good group of guys to do that. I feel like there's a lot of guests that we can have to really enhance, the talk around the sports culture, not only here locally in Colorado Springs and Denver and areas like that, but, nationally as well, So with all that being said, it's difficult times right now, but how is everybody feeling right now? Like, how's everybody holding up with everything that's going around us?
I just can't wait till it to be over when it all pass through.
Yeah.
It's all been trash. Whole 2020 been trash.
But what specifically? Like, obviously, I guess people listening will probably know, but, we got the coronavirus and stuff going on right now. And, I think it's a big adjustment for everybody right now. But, if we're sticking with our whole athletes theme, like, what does that mean for our athletes? Like, how has it affected us personally, locally, as a sports culture?
Right.
Like, how has it affected everything going on?
I just kind of like from a personal perspective, like I said, man, it's just like a bunch of chaos and panic right now. And I'd be lying if I say it ain't affected me personally about it, like as far as how to move, where to move, and where this is going to end up. But man, 2020, man, just trying to take that, like I said, that athletes and that sport approach to it kind of helps me ease through, man. It's interesting to see like a bunch of sport cancellations, bunch of event cancellations, and stopping these guys' dreams moving forward, man. It's kind of tough to see that part from a personal view as well. But
so just coming from the Colorado aspect, they canceled playoffs. You know what I mean? I think 3A, they started their playoffs. They started their quarterfinals. 4A, 5A, they both didn't get a chance to start. I mean, for me, I feel for those players. If it's me, I'm like, man, just clear everybody out. Let's get somebody to run the clock. Let's get some refs. And I don't even need my parents there. Like I'm trying to hoop, and I know that that's what they got to be going through now. I feel like that's a tough situation. Going to some of the teams that were in the Final Four. If we look at TCA, a program who's usually not, in that position to be able to be in the Final Four. They got a good group right now with Micah and Tyler, Grace, and some other players, man. I just feel for them because I feel like TCA might not ever get back there. You know what I mean? Or if they do get back, I'm not gonna say that they might not ever get back there, but it's been so long. This team has made history, and this is not normally like a powerhouse basketball school. So, I kind of feel for them because it may be 15, 20 years before they even get two playoff wins in the same state finals.
Yeah, I feel like the thing I feel for the most is the experience. Because I know when I was in that position and we went to the state tournament, it's the experience leading up to it throughout the whole process that's nice and enjoyable. And for a lot of those kids, even if they do get back to that point, the experience still isn't going to be the same. They may go next year or the year after, but the experience, I think, is something that you don't really get back.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, just our experience at Doherty, making it to the Coliseum a couple times, just piggybacking off your experience.
Did y'all make it this year?
No, it was canceled.
yeah, it was all canceled, man. You just said it was
Come on, man, the
canceled.
coronavirus. They canceled it.
Canceled after the first round.
They stopped that.
Yeah,
They
so
stopped
they,
that.
yeah.
They stopped that.
That's the first round.
Yeah, that's episode 2. Man. But yeah, so we used to go up there, take a bus, and stay in the hotels, and let the guys go swimming, and just those experiences hanging out, like Gregor was saying, like you can't really get those back. And something that we preach at Doherty is, winning a state championship is like it unites those group of guys, players, coaches, training staff, principals, all those for forever. You all were a part of that, that state championship run. And for, like you said, TCA, who's that Cinderella story, so to speak, this year, that they don't get that chance. And it got to suck, it has to suck. I mean, even like a Rangeview got a chance to go back-to-back. They're on like a 40-plus game winning streak. Those things are special. Now, you don't even get to see what the end of the road looks like for them.
Yeah. I mean, even to that aspect with Rangeview possibly being able to go back-to-back and things like that, I look at St. Mary's girls, right? I trained Josephine Howery, who is hands down, I believe, the best girl in the state. Nah, she's top 5, at least top 5. Back-to-back player of the years and back-to-back state championships, and they can go, they can three-peat. Right. You know what I mean? And they're not gonna get that. They're not gonna get that opportunity. And so one of the things I'm thinking about is why. The virus is definitely serious, and I know there may be some other stuff in the background that I don't know about, but how come, even going to the NCAA March Madness, going to that, like, why do we just go straight to canceling versus postponing? With the NCAA, I can make it probably makes more sense because there's TV deals, there's a lot of money and stuff on the line, but when you look at high school sports, like, why do we cancel versus postponing?
I think that's a good question because I feel like some of the athletes might need a bigger voice versus it's kind of like what they're talking about with the NCAA now is there's no voice for the schools besides the NCAA, right? So what the NCAA, the decision they make, is the decision they make. So I think it should be something like that for high school too, because stuff like a three-peat, like for Josephine, for example, in the Player of the Year, you only get one opportunity to do that. And so when that's taken away, then think about her as a kid, not just a basketball player, but as a kid growing up to be an adult. Just that opportunity is completely, without a doubt, taken away from her. I feel like it's wrong. I feel like there should be something that is something that's over it, that could figure out a different way about handling it versus just, hey, we're canceling everything, it's done and over with. I feel like there's a different avenue that they could have went through.
And that's why you got to kind of like look at this from a bigger picture perspective. Like, from a worldly view, like, they're not just canceling out here in Colorado, they're canceling everywhere. We talked about the tournament, we talked about the NBA and all of that stuff. Man, there's got to be something going on up top. Who runs this country? What's going on up there? And that's why I think Athletes Plus.
Getting too deep for me.
Yeah, Athletes Plus, man. We got to take it off the court, and we kind of got to prepare for what's next. If they're starting to cancel these type of events, what's coming from that? What's coming from that?
Their stuff is just postponed,
as far as we know. But when you get things like you said, like why not postpone a high school game? Why not postpone that?
But I think
is it panic? Like, does everybody? I think it. I think those higher ups, those officials. I mean, I think it's good to kind of be overcautious in the situation, because you don't want to ever be in a situation where you're underreacting to something. You know what I mean? And then later on, then you're like, man, we probably should have canceled it. Right. But then it's too late at that point.
Yeah.
And I was about to say,
go ahead, G.
Is that, kind of talking about why, a high school canceled, college is canceled, professional sports are like postponed, you know what I'm saying, is because there's a lot more stuff involved. There's more powers involved when it comes to professional sports. So I don't think it's as easy to just say, yeah, we're just going to cancel it. That's what we think is right for our league. But you got like the TV deals and all those advertisement endorsements and, multi-million-dollar players. They're all involved on how this thing's going to go moving forward. So I think, that plays a big factor too, compared to, high school. It's just like, your opinions really don't matter. We're the adults. This is how we're going to handle this situation.
Right. I kind of wish they had a platform to speak. I wish we had an athlete here right now to talk about it, and maybe we will the next time if we can get somebody on. But I really am interested to hear from from a current player's perspective on what they're feeling, their gut instinct of when they found out everything was canceled.
Hey, yeah, dog. Cause like, think about that, Mike. Like, how would you feel if you was a current high school athlete and you got hit with that, making a run? Like, I know for me personally, bro, I'd be devastated. I'd be devastated.
I'd be pissed. I think everybody I played with would be pissed too. Yeah. Everybody would feel some type of way about it.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to rack my brain to figure out, like, how, if I was a player now, what could I do? Is it starting a petition? I've seen petitions going around through Facebook and stuff, but I wonder if that stuff really even matters. Like, are they really listening to that? Do they gotta rise up more? Like, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like.
The director of CHASA, she, the initial announcement was no fans, just players and essential personnel for the playoffs. But then she did get a lot of pushback on, like, seniors who their parents want to see them play potentially in their last basketball game. So I mean, it could be their voice could be heard, because they did make a change, but it happened quickly. So
they ain't make that change though until Rudy Gobert got hit with that.
And I think that's what happened. I think once the NBA did what they did, I think it created kind of like a panic downhill fall for everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if they wouldn't have jumped to the conclusion so quick to cancel the CHASA basketball tournament, when the initial rule was 500 people to begin with, and then it went to 250. When you're talking about inside the arena, you can have family and friends. And then you kind of just exempt some of the teams, 2 teams in, 2 teams out. So I think there was a way to do it. I just think they once the NBA said, "Hey, we're canceling because of what happened with Rudy Gobert." Then after that, I think it was just a downhill
What's his
thing.
name?
Rudy, I don't even know what Rudy something. Gobert. Rudy Gobert. So I think once that happened, I don't think there was, because everybody watches the NBA. The NBA is one of the biggest platforms for any of us, right? Yeah. And so if we're watching it and we see what all came on with ESPN, Stephen A., all of them, like it was a big deal. And so it was more of a media thing. And Adam Silver came back on and was like, hey, it's not, we're not canceling. We just, there's a lot of logistics we have to figure out. Right. We may have to use G League arenas because there's other people that are using arenas.
Small arenas, they got some size to them. Hold on, don't sleep.
Yeah, so I think the initial thing, I wish if it was more quiet, I don't necessarily think it would have. Right. It kind of went downhill all in one day, from a professional standpoint to college standpoint to high school, even to youth sports, like we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, man. Speaking of, man, I'm trying to see what's going on with AAU. I don't think they're going to continue forward with that. Just something's telling me, because everybody on media, or those media platforms that we watch right now, what are they saying? It's just a game. We care about people's health. We care about people's safety and things like that. So if you shut this all down, call it for the summer. Shut it all down, and then let's regroup. Those kids suffer from it, but in the long run of things, from a worldly perspective, you gotta kind of just accept that and go with it. So athletes, you gotta be thinking right now, what could I do to be ready for that transition if they do shut me down for this quick summer or this hot spring? Like, be ready to bounce back. Be ready to bounce back. Still work on you. It's still possible. But
I really think there's gonna be a season. You know what I mean? I think it's too early right now to say the whole season. Right. The whole AU season is canceled. The whole summer club ball, all that's canceled. But the impact, if it was to be canceled, like that impact is huge. I feel like. Yeah. Because you got guys that are still trying to get recruited. Right. I know we've talked off camera about the state championship. There may be some guys trying to get recruited at the state finals level, and so they could possibly miss out on that. But I think if you're looking to get those scholarships in the state championship, it might. Yeah, it's over. Yeah, you probably should have got them looks before.
Hey, you better find out them open trials.
Probably should have got those looks before.
And that's what I'm saying. So look, athletes, look for open tryouts now. Whenever this start back and whenever business as usual comes back into play, look for them open trials. Go knock on them doors. Go walk in them open gyms. Man, you will pick up something. It ain't over. And that's the thing.
But that's probably easier said than done though.
So I don't know. Again, that's Midwest perspective. I'm from the Midwest. It's easy to go and walk in the gym and pick up something.
So if somebody was to walk into UCCS, and I've seen players do this and say, "Hey, coach, I want to play. I'm ready to play."
Well, what are they gonna do? No. I'm saying like an open tryout.
When has there ever been an open tryout?
There's open tryouts at junior colleges and things like that. Okay. They have open tryouts.
I've seen them for other schools too. Yeah, but listen to this.
I'm not familiar. So.
Listen to this.
Hey,
so,
big time Lions.
You don't have open trials.
ST.
We ain't talking about KU. Right. We ain't talking about none of that, fellas. Women. We talking about man. It's a bunch of junior colleges around here in Colorado, man. So if you wasn't getting recruited,
4-year schools too.
If you weren't getting recruited, that was
my bad. We got to this dude big time in a lot of areas. If you weren't recruited up until this point, man, you gotta seek that route. That's your route. I'm telling you, we lived that. We lived that in the Midwest. We were underachievers in the classroom. Some of us were, and colleges weren't looking for us in that realm. Out here, some of y'all just probably can't play basketball that well. So but
that's why that plus.
Right.
Hey, that's important. So I'm giving you these other avenues. You got to take them. You got to take them.
Hey, so ST, listen, I agree with you, but listen to this. Mm-hmm. So youth sports, it's a $17 billion a year industry, which is the most out of any. So NFL, NBA. Any of that, youth sports is it's a $17 billion.
Fact check.
So fact check right here. So and with what you said about the JUCO schools, so think about this, right? So you have You have kids who may be a senior in high school who haven't signed yet.
Yeah.
I used Micah as an example because he hadn't signed, but he was getting recruited. But he's in the final. Committed. Okay, but he's in the final four of the 4A state tournament. So he's getting more eyes on him. So more schools are calling.
Right.
So when we take kids like Micah who are qualified already, right, and we say, hey, all the kids who are qualified, if you didn't get recruited by the time you were a senior in high school this specific year, and you didn't get recruited, right? So no state tournament, so no, and maybe you were a late bloomer, right? Maybe you came on late. I watched Mike early in the year. Me and Mike went and watched him.
Hey man, shout out Micah, Pluto Prospect. Putting
right.
in work. He putting in work over there at TCA.
And he came a long ways from when I watched him play to where he's playing at now, in the where he was going to play. So if you take all them kids who are seniors who may be coming on late, and you take them and say, hey, don't worry about it, we'll send you the JUCO route, then you're taking the spoon out of the mouth for all them kids who are not qualified to go to school in general, to go to the JUCO route.
No, bro. I was just giving you one avenue of it. Yeah. There's other schools, bro. There's other schools that have open tryouts that are not just junior colleges. We all did this. We all took these type of routes, so we know friends or teammates that we play with that took these routes. We coach at Doherty High School. I know a kid that went to like 5 open tryouts when the season ended because no one was looking for him, and he found homes. He found homes to play ball in. And it's just about how hungry are you.
That's true.
Hey, it's a mindset. Being an athlete, when they cancel something such as this in this state or around the world, it's a mindset. What do you do next? And I think us having that platform, and if you are listening, young athlete, there's avenues that you can pursue and take.
And I think
you will be all right if you really want to do this.
And when we were talking about like the AAU, the circuits, so like EYBL, Prep Hoops, the NY to LA, a lot of those already canceled the first 2 tournaments. And I think they're in line with what the NCAA said, which was kind of weird too, because the NCAA is like, we're canceling all spring sports, right? And then they changed the recruiting, or they cancel all recruiting until April 15th, which is 2 days before the live period. Isn't that right? Yeah, so to me, I think it's something that there's a lot more involved in it, like collectively. I think that's why everybody's kind of matching up with what the NCAA is going to do. So I think we still have a season. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be in April or not.
Right.
But I do feel like in May and June and July, I feel like the live period may end up being in June actually instead of July. I think they're just switch it to a month.
That's what I feel. It in May because I mean they already have live periods in June, but it's high school oriented with the new NCAA rules with all the the shoe deal, cheating and all that stuff. So they have live periods in June, but it's high school oriented.
Shout out to Patino, man. He back in the game.
Which one should take
precedent?
Yeah, I think the NCAA because there's no.
I'm talking about high school.
I'm talking about high school versus AAU. We can say that for another day.
AAU.
We can take that. We'll save that one for another day. Just to
throw that out there. I like where you're going.
Yeah.
I'm saying
y'all got time. Y'all ain't doing nothing. Y'all sitting on the couch.
I feel like AAU sounds good now because of the people that are involved. So I think if we had better people involved in high school sports, then
you mean better people,
like more qualified coaching, better training and exposure and development at the high school level.
Shot check.
I think that's what will enhance high school recruiting, but as far as actual high schools. But AAU, like people are really involved in basketball, so that's why they're there. So
that's a true
you get a better feel, you get a better development. All that will come to AAU. So I think that's why we put so much money into AAU compared to high school, where it just might be the math teacher. Hey, I don't have anything else to do. I'll do it. But you know what I'm saying. So I think, but on the flip side, if we had better people involved in high school sports. Because you get to see these athletes 365 almost. Compared to AAU, it's about 3 months. You know what I mean? So I think you have a better feel for who that kid is as a student and as an athlete at the high school realm. You get to see them outside of athletics. But I mean, again, that's another topic for another day. So
yeah, we'll definitely hit that the next time. So just real quick, just to turn the page a little bit. I know we just talked about high school recruitment and that effect. but let's go up a level. I know it may seem like we're all over the place, but
Hey, it's just conversation. It's just conversation.
And it's our first time. You know what I mean? So let's look at the impact of not having the tournament for some of those guys that are that need to get drafted or that are looking to get drafted into the league.
My dog Cassius Winston, man. Shout out Sparta, baby. Sparta Nation.
Man, ain't nobody worried about that.
Hey, come on, man.
But look, I think that's worth being brought up because I think it's a big thing. You know, a lot of folks make their name off of the NCAA tournament, and to not have that, you know, they could potentially be affecting their draft stock. It may be good for some folks who may have went to the tournament and didn't play well at all, you know, but I think, you know, for some of those guys that are borderline first round, second round, borderline second round, to not being drafted, you know, that's a lot of money being lost.
Right.
And so with the NCAA tournament, I feel like there's a lot that, you know, some of those fringe players can gain from being on that type of platform.
Ain't no Steph Curry journey. Ain't no Kemba performance. Ain't none of that happening.
Yeah.
Dang.
I mean, even your boy from Texas Tech last year.
Oh yeah.
He took them, and that
What,
just-
Jared Culver?
Yeah, Jared Culver.
Yeah.
I thought
He went from like a late.
about my guy Matt Mooney. Man.
I mean, but still, like
Hey,
he
He
changed
didn't get
the
drafted.
game.
He raised his stock though.
Right, for
Shout out to
sure.
Matt.
He probably don't even get a true look, you know, without that turning.
Yeah, that type of kid. That's tough, man. But Mike, you could probably attest to this more than we probably could on that process. Like how would you look at it, like from that athlete's perspective? How would you see those guys moving forward as far as the recruiting process? What do they do to crack the league? What would they do?
I mean, shoot, you know, they've been getting scouted all season.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, you know, if you've been having a good season so far, then I mean, it's really not going to affect you that much. It really affects the guys that are a little bit under the radar, that don't have those extra games and that platform to, you know, get seen by scouts a little bit more. You know, they're
mid-major.
Yeah, some of those mid-majors, when they go up against those high majors that they don't see in the regular season, now, you know, as a mid-major player and to be on that platform, you'll be out there, and so you have a chance. Yeah, you'll have a chance to be put on the map. And so without having a tournament, obviously, you know, you're not going to have that. So, I mean, you just got to hope that, you know, your body of work during the season, you know, prepare or I don't know.
Was good enough.
Yeah, you gotta hope that that's good enough. You gotta hope that scouts have seen it and they bring you in. And so, one, you gotta have a heck of an agent to advocate for you on that front. But I mean, I think a lot of folks are missing out on one, the experience that we talked about earlier with the Colorado high school stuff. You know, they're missing out on the experience and they're missing out on the chance to either, you know, rise their draft stock potentially.
I mean, again, taking it to another level from high school to college, but even those seniors who, you know, may have never been to the tourney, and now they finally get there, and now it's like, nah, psych.
Yeah, boy, that's crazy.
And I was like, I mean, even on a financial scale, like some of those smaller schools who make so much money
from
tournament.
that March Madness.
Now they don't get to get there.
Yeah.
Man, it's like you said, there's so much is in factor when it comes to, you know, canceling, postponing, and you know, it's a lot of people. Everybody's affected, obviously. You know, financially, everybody's affected with this.
And what about all those kids who come back as grad transfers, right? Who had the option to either go to the draft, go overseas and play, or somewhere like the Sestina kid played at Stanford, went to Kentucky.
Okay, yeah.
And now he's like, you know, because he didn't really get to
and,
compete. He went to Kentucky to compete, and now he's not even going to be able to compete.
That sounds
Hey, give him
Stanford to Kentucky. I mean,
hey, run it back, man. Run it back. I think when this all pick back up and we get back to playing ball,
Everybody get that one more year. Ooh,
What's up?
Everybody get that one more year.
Why not? Why not?
Man.
Why not? Who disagreeing here? Who? Let me see.
Hey.
you talking about from like
as far as getting the year back. So look, we talked about this before. So getting the year back, right? For basketball players, you know, if I'm a player, I want that year back. I'm selfish. I'm like, yeah, let me run the whole season back. Let's see what we can do. But it really, you know, from a bigger perspective, I suppose come on, man, the season's over. The season's almost over. You know what I mean? So why am I gonna give you a whole year because you probably missed like a game? Like if you look at CU, right? Mm-hmm. They played one game in the conference tournament and lost, right? They were gonna go to the tournament. They were probably gonna have one more game. Or not, I'm not gonna say that. Sorry. No. Worst case, they would have had one more game, right? So say they play that next game and they lose, right?
So 2 games is on the line. Do they deserve?
Yeah, like what? The majority of the season is already over with.
Well, the majority of the season was over with for a lot of teams, right? Because the tournament, the week we were in was pretty much just the Power 5 or Power 6, or, you know, when you include Gonzaga. Right. All the rest of the tournaments, so Howard Valley, they were already done.
Yeah. The conferences are only going to have one representative in the tournament.
Yeah, which is whoever wins the conference championship. So I think there's a lot of different things. So I don't feel like they should get a year back either.
Run it back.
Look, as a player, I'm saying run it back. Right. But look. It's like you know.
Hey, we in weird times. Weird times call for weird situations.
Okay. So check this out. My senior year, right? I get hurt in the conference tournament, right? So that was my last game, and we made the postseason, right? So I probably could have had one more game. So now, you know, with that conference tournament game being my last game, what if I'm like, man, give me the whole year back, man. I missed the postseason. I need that whole year back.
Hey, Mike, stop being selfish. This ain't about just you. This is about the whole nation. They had to cancel. Run it back. I'm devil's advocate in this, though. I'm devil's advocate.
So you really don't believe that you run it back?
I think it's good. I think it's good for convo. But if it's me, run back the tournament. Run it back.
I feel like the spring athletes should get it back. So like baseball.
Yeah, if you made it there, you deserve to finish that through. See that through. Right. So I think so boom. Dumb it down to if you're a conference winner at a mid-major, low-major, and if you are in that tournament, run it back, bro.
You guys
pull up the bracket and let's postpone that bracket until it's time to roll.
Postponement though, not cancellation.
Yeah, but they.
If you postpone it, then it's the same year.
Hey, but anything can change, man. Like I say, this is bigger, man. They might. But 2 weeks from now, this might all blow over. Next thing you know, we have decided to. What's that? Undo our cancellation.
Y'all know who I feel bad for?
Who's that?
You know who and you know this, ST.
Oh man.
You know who I feel bad for? Cassius Winston.
Oh, that's my dog,
I do.
Man.
I feel like of all the people, I feel like that's the one.
He lost millions of dollars because of this.
But he should have left last year. This Michigan State talk. He should have left last year, but I know his purpose of returning. He wanted to make that run, but they didn't have those pieces.
They were fixing to.
Look, man,
you can never count them out.
But I mean, think about that.
That run ain't worth it.
If Cassius, but listen, if he left last year, he's probably a late lottery first round. If he goes on this run, he could be a top 5 pick. That's millions of dollars. We talking difference in millions.
Top 5 pick?
Yeah.
Not this year.
He definitely would have been a top 5, but I think his stock would have went up.
Because Kimba was like that.
Kimba was crazy.
Cassius could have did something similar to that. I'm not saying he's gonna go out and do it because Kimba did it very loud. Cassius gets 38 and 6 quietly.
See, that's the thing.
Ohio State, his last game, he had 28, 9, and 5.
So Cassius' game doesn't wow you in that aspect of being a scorer or being he's just a good floor general. You know his sole purpose of coming back was to make that championship run. It wasn't about draft or anything. He probably knew he gonna have to put in work to get wherever he gonna get.
I don't think there's anything he could have done to creep up that far.
Yeah. You don't think so?
His game, his style,
it's that. But on top of that, the NBA draft, they draft based off of potential for the most part.
For sure.
So with him, he's a senior, right?
Yeah. So he's 2 years really outside of his.
He's a senior. You know what I mean?
They're gonna look at that guard
position. You're not damaged goods, right? Once he makes it to the league, he's still gonna be a young player. But in terms of like your upside and stuff like that.
I agree.
I got an old man game.
But
It's
this is
there.
what I'm saying. Like, I agree with that 100%. And I think every year there's always that one kid.
One senior.
So a lot of times it's the upperclassman.
I know Steph was a junior coming out.
Yeah.
Steph
And
was
it's
a junior
like-
at Davidson.
Right. And it's like when that
Steph
one
is different,
kid
bro.
puts his
Nah,
team
he
on his back.
He scorer.
That one upperclassman puts his team on the back and they get to a Final Four.
It's noticeable.
I mean, there's so many college basketball players.
No,
I
give
can
me
talk-
an
no,
example.
for real, I gotta think.
Fact check.
Right,
We
that's
need a
something that
fact
you can't
check.
just pop up on. Hey, give me a second. Give me a
Hey,
second. Move on. Give me
Hey,
a
yeah.
second.
Hey, but moving
Gordon
on, man,
Hayward?
because
Maybe.
Gordon
Hayward?
Hayward, but
Gordon-
he's 6'8", so it's easier for
yeah,
his.
nah.
you
And
know,
Gordon
talk
Hayward
about
was
looking-
he was a scorer. He was a
He's a
scorer, man. I wanted to tell you, but hey, that's that athlete coming out of me. I wanted to emphasize that he was a beast at Butler, bro. He was a beast. But nah, man, moving on, man. Just like the NCAA, like all these levels are impacted, man. But it's good to have these conversations. I know it's stuff that we've been thinking about, and people have been thinking about. Like, dang, what about that, Cassius? What about that?
Nobody was saying what about Cassius.
Yeah, they were, bro. This
I was
Michigan
not
State.
going on
This is
about
Michigan.
it.
So you don't watch Michigan State.
You
don't watch Big Ten basketball.
Green is my favorite color, but I don't watch
So if you don't watch Big Ten basketball, then we gotta kick this dude out, this athlete plus,
Hey.
man. Nah, just
Hey,
come on, man. That's what
I'm
it's
gonna
at.
take that camera. I'm gonna take that.
I'm biased though. Like I said, I'm biased on that. I'm biased. I think Big Ten got a brand that you gotta see. You gotta watch them.
No. I'm familiar with them. Just probably not as familiar with you. Or as you.
Hey.
I ain't familiar with you either.
Hey, but in the grand scheme of things, dog, I'm gonna make a quick prediction. Like, what y'all think gonna come of this? Like, I know we've been kind of like just talking all over the place about certain factors of it, the impact that it had on the athletic realm or whatnot, but I think this is like minor compared to what's happening. I think it's so much going on right now as far as
Behind
the
the
corona.
scenes,
Yeah,
right?
behind the scenes, I think they're about to change the economic system in a way. Something with currency. Wars. I think a war is brewing. I think there's some things that's gonna happen to where, hey, this might be some athletes' last time dribbling the ball. It might be time for us to focus on some real things. So I don't know, man. What y'all think about that? I'm sorry to kind of dim the light on it, but I think that's real. And that's why I say, like, man, athletes, man, how that Kobe mindset going forward, like take over outside of the basketball court. You got other things that you can do.
I'm not. It's kind of hard to give a prediction on what I think is gonna happen. Because I don't want to say something that'll come back and bite me later.
conspiracy stuff.
I don't want to say something that's gonna come back and bite me later. I would say my hope, is that everything resumes in a couple weeks. I'm hoping the best. I'm hoping for the best. I'm praying for the best. Should I say? And I just want everything to go back to normal as fast as possible. But I do agree with what you're saying. I think there's something bigger at play, and I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but I think there's something bigger at play, and now everybody's really focused on sports. Oh man, day 5 and no NBA. I just realized my wife's favorite color was green. Like we're focused on that type stuff.
Right.
Wow, you never know what's happening in the Oval Office. You never know what's happening in overseas governments and things like that. So it may be something that we look back on in 5 years and be like, dang, when did that law come into effect?
Right.
Yeah,
When
man.
that Rona hit, that's when it came into effect.
Yeah.
So I do think there's something bigger at play. That's just me talking and
That's real.
watching too many YouTube videos.
Everybody got their own opinion, dog. The moral of the story is take some of this sport mentality and bring it outside of that. Now it's the time more than ever to link up as a team, man. Find out who you can get together with, man, and just appreciate each other and kind of just move accordingly and see how this all play out, bro. See how it all play out.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of brought up the Kobe thing.
Yeah.
Still don't feel
2020
real.
jacked up, man.
Yeah, so let's just move to that. 2020 has been a heck of a year so far. It's been, we had Kobe. We had the Corona thing that's going on, and just looking at the culture as a whole. I kind of tie hip hop culture into basketball.
No
you
doubt.
know, and so you got, you know, Juice World passing, you got Pop Smoke passing, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's been happening, and it's really, you know, everything's been happening globally, but I feel like it's really hitting the culture hard, because Kobe's of the culture, Juice is from the culture, Pop is from the culture. This Corona is messing. I gotta stop saying this Rona.
Yeah, man.
This Corona. Look, this Corona is affecting the culture. You know. So, 2020's been
sad,
been rough to start out, man. How were y'all, feeling? Greg, how are you feeling with how, it started off? We're almost 3 months deep.
Well, I tell you what I was doing. I was walking out the door. We were going to Garden of the Gods, and my wife looked at her phone, and she said, show me your phone, and it was like the TMZ thing of Kobe, and I was like, nah, that's not real. But I got chills. I got like some chills over my body. So I was like,
you sent it to the text. That's how I saw it first.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way. And so I'm like Googling it, like helicopter crash in Calabasas, and there's an actual crash, so I'm like, so could it be real? And it was crazy. It was a crazy day. The only other day that I can think about that was kind of like that was when I lost a friend when I was in high school. But just the impact that Kobe just had on even my wife. So my wife never watches basketball, and so once the Kobe thing happened, she started watching all of Kobe's games, all of the interviews that he did, everything. And so she kind of has that Mamba mentality now. She even wants a tattoo of Mamba mentality. So she wants the books. She watches all the Lakers games.
She gonna show a Kobe picture on her. Bro.
It's hard to tell. It better be next to mine.
I'm gonna be real, Greg. We ain't met your wife yet.
She's out there. She's out there.
Over there with Kobe. Wherever Kobe at, that's where your wife at.
But it's kind of weird the impact. It was like surreal at first, but then once you find out that like Gigi's on it, and like how much like she was doing for sports herself, really, and people don't even really know it yet. Yeah. But it was just something. It was sad. I mean, honestly, it was just it ruined my day completely. And then for the next 2 weeks, that's kind of like what we're doing now with the coronavirus, that we see nothing but Kobe, for weeks. And then we went from Kobe to the coronavirus. So it's like we really haven't had a break from anything yet.
Right. And that's crazy, man. Like, people don't realize what G was doing for the game, what she was doing for the women's sport of the game, and people don't realize what Kobe was doing outside of basketball. When he finished, man, it was so much that he was about to start up multimedia companies, linking up with China and whatnot, and trying to build a powerhouse. That was in process. And then that happens, it's like, man, he was about to really show us what Athletes Plus was all about. Right. And he didn't get there. But that legacy, the legacy that these guys inputted on this game and in life, it can take us anywhere, bro. So I think that's a good lesson to take from it.
So what do we do? Like, what should our mindset be going forward? I can say, from my perspective is that, like I've told you guys before, I'm a big believer in, your thoughts can really manifest in the real world, So I think there's been a lot of negative things happening, and so we have to reflect on those negative things, but we can't really dwell on those things too much, because one bad thing will happen, and we'll be focusing so much time and energy, which is a real thing, focusing so much energy on it that it's going to manifest itself, and things are just going to keep going downhill. So one thing that I'm doing is just trying to stay positive in all these times, and trying to just put out positive energy, trying to pray, got to get right with God, got to do all this stuff, so I can project positivity in my life going forward.
George, what you got, bro?
Man, this is a lot, man. It's, like I said, just having my athlete's mentality, it's like when things hit hard or hit home, it's like I kind of don't really focus on it, you know what I mean? That's kind of I've been taking on their approach, kind of piggybacking off what you're saying, Mike, is like when all the negative stuff hits, I just kind of focus on the positives, you know what I mean? So that you know, like going back to the athlete stuff, you know, one of your teammates go down, you don't really got time. The season doesn't stop. The game don't stop.
Right.
It's next man up, next game. How do we win this game? You know, it's time to move on. So that's kind of been my mentality and my focus. And, you know, sometimes it may seem not like the right thing to do. You know what I mean?
No, that's
But
true. But yeah,
that's
they
what I'm
teach us in
naturally-
sport to desensitize.
right,
Like,
exactly.
move on. We gotta.
Exactly.
We the toughest.
So yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? I can just remember those tough practices, and coach said, "You're the toughest SOB out there." You know what I mean? Like,
Straight up.
those is real conversations we're being, you know, ingrained in our weakest moments. So, you know, that's just kind of been my mentality the whole time. Like, you know, going back to the Kobe thing, you know, and you know, all the people involved in that. But it's just like, it still doesn't feel real. Like, you know what I mean? Nip being, you know, a year ago, just all that stuff just doesn't seem real. I'm waiting for them to pop up again, you know what I mean? And for them being so, you know, like moguls, I don't really ever see them anyway.
Yeah.
So when I constantly see them on social media,
Yeah, it's put on blast.
right,
yeah,
it's kind of, it still feels like they're here, you know what I mean?
Nah, that's real.
But, you know, the people who actually know them personally or see them, you know, I can imagine how that feels, but, you know, it just still don't seem real to me. You know, I guarantee I can go on social media right now and there's going to be a Kobe post of an interview, a game, a statistic or something, and I'm going to be like, yeah, Kobe was the man.
But for you personally, like you said, bro, like I'm a cling on to that mentality, bro. That sport mentality is real. Like, adapt and adjust. We got to. That's how I'm gonna continue to move going forward. I have to get right with my spirituality. I have to get right with my family. I have to put them on the same page going forward. I have to make sure that I'm knowledgeable about what's going on around me, so I can make sure they're comforted in that way and they can be directed in a positive light. And I'm being directed by my spiritual belief in the Most High. So with that being said, man, just continuing to move forward, man, spiritually, physically, mentally, gathering the troops for whatever.
Yeah. What
What you got, Grego?
No, I feel like it's hard to move on from the Kobe thing. I think as much as people want to move on, I just think it's such a void, you know, and especially our lives, you know. If you think about our ages in here, he was part of us the whole time he was in the league. So it's hard to move on from. It's almost like losing a father or something, you know. Even though it's not to that extent, but it's still such a big part. Like there's always going to be a void there because you're never going to forget it, and it's something that he was that impactful, I think. And you could tell by how it blew up in the world. You know, it wasn't. You know, I always think to myself too, if it was somebody else, you know, if it was like a Tom Brady or if it was like a LeBron James, and it was kind of weird because I seen Kobe kind of disappear from the picture for a while. And then I seen him on the sideline, you know, with Gigi at some of the games. And he was just now getting back into the Lakers scene. You know, he was just now getting back into all that. And we hadn't seen him for a while. And then for that to happen, it was just weird how it happened, you know. Like leading up to it, it was like I seen him and I hadn't seen him for like a year or something.
Like literally the day before, didn't LeBron just pass him? What did he pass
In
him?
Philly, pass him on the all-time scoring
All-time
list.
scorer, yeah.
Yeah, and he like tweeted to him, and it's just something I just feel like there's always going to be a void there for me.
What always, like, what was crazy about that was, like, the week prior to his crash, it was that little viral video that came out of Kobe helping, like, this crazy crash that happened. He was, like, in the middle of the street. Did y'all see that?
Oh yeah, helping
Yeah, it was, like, a crazy crash that happened.
on the
like,
California highway.
Yeah, and he was, like, out there helping, you know, direct traffic and get people where they want to go. And it's just like, dang, Kobe's really here. Then the next week, he's involved in a fatal crash. It's just like, man, like, do people deserve that? You just start thinking about, you know, stuff outside of, you know, our mental realm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, it's just crazy, bro. That's why I say, man,
I feel like he was
right,
just
get
now.
right with whatever you believe in. Get right, man. You never know. You never know what's going on with today and today's world. Get right, man. It's time to do right by people and do right by the world.
So I know I talked about. I know we all talked about, you know, our thoughts and how we're gonna move forward and what we're thinking about, you know, everything going on now. But what do you think? How do y'all feel about these young athletes, and not only just athletes, but just young people in general? How they feel about everything that's going on now? From my perspective, going back, the times we're in now kind of reminds me of going back to 9/11. You know, I remember exactly where I was. I remember what classroom I was in. I was in the 6th grade, Hines Middle School, Mr. Grizzly's class. All right, they rolled the TVs in, and then, you know, I knew that it was a big deal. You know, I knew that something big was happening, but I didn't really understand like the severity of what was happening. You know, so I'm wondering now, just trying to get into a young person's mindset. You know, what are they thinking? Are they thinking that this is something that's just gonna go by, or that it's not really that important? They know it's a big moment, but they're not really, you know, worried about the consequences or worried about anything.
Yeah, I mean, I know when 9/11 happened for me, same thing, 6th grade, rolled the TVs in. I'm like, over a plane crash? I'm like, this ain't the first time we ever seen a plane crash. What made this one so special, you know? And now, you know, comparing that to a young kid today, he may be thinking, or she may be thinking, you know, we didn't have swine flu, Ebola, you know, we didn't have some other, you know, tough sicknesses / diseases or whatever to hit us, but it's like, what makes this one different? You know, and I can't even tell you, you know, without, you know, I'm not no health expert, a doctor or anything like that, so I can't even tell you. But, you know, again, going back to how we're moving as a country is evidence to that something is happening that's serious, and we need to, you know, act. So I can imagine with a little kid, because I know when same thing, 9/11, I was just like, why are we still talking about it?
Yeah.
Then now why are we going to war? Like, I don't understand over a plane crash, you know, but...
Yeah, just from that, I don't know, man. I think we are in that realm. We are blessed to be in that realm around the youth and the generations currently, and seeing how they move and how they think. And one thing that I think about with them is, man, it's a microwave generation, bro. I think, to be honest, I don't think they think anything of it. I think it's just the next phase for them. It's like, all right, what's next? Let's keep going. Because they don't really sit, man, at social media platforms and those things like that. Bro, you so desensitized to things because everything happens so fast, as Gregor was talking about earlier. Like, man, these kids, that's all they know. When we coach them in hoops, we know that. They can't even grasp something as simple as whatever defensive or offensive strategy. Yeah, that moment, they forget it the next second. Like, yo, are you not understanding me? So I don't think they can grasp this right now. But I think us is like the old man, and where we come in to play is giving these platforms like this so they can tune in and listen and see how we're moving forward.
Right.
Maybe that might give them some knowledge. Or their parents. Some people aren't fortunate to have parents or things like that, but some form of leadership. That's where we need to step in, so they can get a better view of what's going on and how this impacts or could possibly impact their world.
Outside of sports.
So, yeah.
I think it's I think they look at it however their parents or like their mentors look at it. I think some of them could be scared because I think their parents are scared. So I think they kind of, whatever message I think they're getting from the people that they're closest to, I think is the same message that the kids get. And so I know Piper, you know, my little girl, I don't take it too serious. I probably should take it more serious, but you know, she kind of laughs at it and moves on. So I think the kids now, because back then when 9/11 happened, like Mike was talking about, we didn't really have all the access to social media like we have now. So when you have 7 or 8 different things, whether it's news sources or whether it's President Trump or whether it's, you know, the arguments for the election, so whatever you're doing, you're hearing different things no matter where you go. So I think some of them are scared, some of them are confused, and some of them just don't know what's going on. But I think they have more access now to the information. So I think that could, without the right information, I think it could be scary for a kid.
Definitely. And so we don't have to, you know, touch on that part of it too long, but I think it was definitely worth mentioning. You know, so, you know, as we're getting near the end, as we're wrapping up, man, you know, I feel like we should go through and, you know, get everybody's final thoughts, man. Steve, what are your final thoughts on everything?
Man, to close out, man, everybody stay blessed, man. Stay blessed, push through. As far as this and what we're doing and our part of the community right now in these trying times, we just want to bring y'all some content, man. Some content, some conversation, things that y'all can cling on to and kind of use it, and tie it into your opinion and your lifestyle moving forward and things like that, man. And like this is going to be a multimedia platform for the culture, man, for the culture, and I just want people to understand that and understand where we're going with this. Of course, we got to address this right now, but we got some fun stuff coming for y'all.
Hey man, do it for the hood. Every neighborhood in America, man. Every neighborhood, man. We're all one, man. So, but no, to wrap up my piece, man. Hey, stay safe out there. Stay, make sure, we're washing hands, taking precaution. I don't want no one out there to, catch any type of disease or virus or whatever. But I can't wait till it all be over. If that's 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days, 2 years, I'm just ready to move forward. Bring you guys some content, talk about some tough conversations, talk about some exciting conversations. Give the youth, give adults, everybody, something to cling on to and move forward. Just, it's a good time, man. Sports is amazing. Sports brings so many people together. So I'm excited about what we have created and what we're going to eventually create more of. So, hey, that's all I got, man.
That's what the game's been missing.
Gregory?
It is. And so I'm going to say, kind of what G said, wash your hands, don't touch other people's faces. Keep
share the water.
Distance.
Hey, share the water
Keep
too
your
in them
distance.
stores, man. Share that water.
And
man.
also, shout out to West Virginia for holding it strong. And then,
we was almost done. You didn't say nothing about West Virginia the whole time.
that's right. But we had to leave it for the end.
We actually got a guy at this table from West Virginia, people. It's real.
Man, that's crazy.
Never go back.
Are you sure you're from West Virginia?
That's
Do
right.
people really live in West Virginia?
They do.
Shout out to Bob Huggins.
Where at? In the woods?
You've been there. You know where they're at.
I ain't been back. I'll tell y'all the story another time. I haven't been back.
I'm saying.
I think a lot of people don't even know if West Virginia is west of Virginia.
It's funny you said that because there was a girl one time that was from Virginia. She said she told me the same exact thing. She was like, I didn't know you were from Western Virginia. She's like, I'm from Newport News or something. I'm like, yeah, it's different state. Not the same state.
Shawty. Hey, we out.
No,
Peace.
Mike,
Athletes Plus.
Mike,
I
you started panic.
I did.
All right, so look,
I'm
I'll make this quick, man.
Oh,
my final thoughts are, yes, this is a serious time, and I think we need to take this, as serious as possible. Whatever the CDC is saying, let's try to abide by those things. I don't think we should let it really consume our thoughts or consume us to the point to where we're thinking negatively all the time. Like I said before, we got to keep pressing forward. We got to keep going forward with the positive energy, and then I think we'll be fine. Going from an athlete's plus standpoint, we got a lot of good things playing, and this is not. We're not going to be so somber all the time. Like we're not going to report on things like it's the news. Yes, we're going to talk about current events and things of that nature, but we're also, when sports start back up, we're also going to be able to hit, some of those games that are happening. We're going to hit rankings. We're going to hit, whatever is happening locally, nationally. Like we're going to touch on all of those things, and we also plan on, bringing guests in and just creating a lot of content for the culture. There's, like I said in the very beginning, there's the uninterrupted, there's a Players Tribune. Those are all at a high level, but I feel like we have enough influence to where we can do that same type of thing on a smaller level and highlight some of these other athletes, and give everybody a voice. So
especially out here in Colorado, man. Like I said, we what the game's been missing, man. There's a hole out here, and we're here to fill that hole. And if you're from here and you're listening and you've been here, you'll realize that. You'll realize that going forward with us. My bad, Michael.
Oh, this was
this was my time.
Oh,
but y'all just,
my bad.
You interrupted me. Piper came in and interrupted me. Greg,
I wasn't even done with my time. I did my shout out and y'all cut me off.
That's all you get. That's all you get. But look, man, it's been a joy, man. This is our first one, so hope everybody enjoys it. And until the next time, man, we'll holler at you.
Ain't no
Hey man, don't be yelling out no famous Los, man. Gonna sue us, man.
Dang.
Look at.
It's copyrighted, man.
Hey, man.
Stop recording now. Greg, I got you. Keep that on there.
Piper.